Hey, what's going on, everybody? In the last video I showed you how to statically assign your home network. Well, I kind of just showed you what I did, so I kind of felt bad. So in this video I tore my whole network down, I tore my whole domain down. We're gonna restart, and I'm gonna show you how to do everything. In this video I'm gonna see how long it's been recording, but we're going to set up all the servers. We're going to assign a new IP addressing scheme for the my home network. You can use this for even a real life environment. Like, we're going to set up everything. We're going to have about 6 or 7 servers. We're going to have our primary domain controller, secondary domain controller. We're going to have a file, a SharePoint, SQL, read-only domain controller, backup server. First of all, I just want to show you how to change your home network so you can maybe follow along. So what you want to do is browse to your gateway, your router. You can get that by doing like an IP config and then just checking out what your router, your gateway address is, and then just put that in your browser and you'll get to it. See? Yeah, right here, default gateway 192.168.0.1. So that's what I did. So I'm just gonna log in here. Okay, so I'm in, and again, this might not look the same as yours. Mine is a Cisco router, so like again, it might not look like yours, but you're kind of looking for the same type of terminology here. So I'm gonna go to my setup, and I'm gonna go to my LAN setup for my local area network. And here is just, this is pretty simple. So I just want to disable DHCP service for my local area network. I believe it's an administration. Your gateway, this is going towards your internet service provider, so you can leave this as DHCP because you're just getting that from your internet service provider. So leave that alone. But for your LAN, that's your own personal network, and you can change that. So we're going to disable DHCP, so just disable it. And then for our gateway, we can change it to whatever we want. So I'm going to go 10.10.10.1. Okay? So that's my new default gateway. So I'm going to hit save. Might lose my connection here to the page. It's taking a bit because it's gonna kind of recalibrate my network here. And as you can see now, it says it's identifying the new network. It's gonna say disconnected. We can open up our troubleshooting here, but it's still identifying. So it's just taking a bit for the router to make the changes. Okay, so yeah, that's not resolving. So what we're going to do now, and I don't know why it just clued into me, but we are going to have to configure our own settings now because we turned off DHCP, so now we have to configure our own. Alright, so to do that, you can just right click on your little network display down here, or you can just go to start and just in the search just type in network. And you want to go to your network and sharing center. This will pop up, and over to your left here you can go to change adapter settings, and then here's your network card that's in your computer. So you right click on it, choose properties, go down to your TCP IP version 4, and hit properties, and now we want to give ourselves an IP address. So 10.10.10. I don't know, for now we're going to use 50, 255.255.255.0 is our subnet mask, so 24-bit subnet mask just means the first 3 octets here are our network ID. So we have 255 IP addresses we can use. And then our gateway that we specified in the router settings right there. And for now we'll use Google servers, they're free. So 8.8.8.8 and then 8.8.4.4. We can validate settings here upon exit, close. And it's just going to validate. and it's gonna work. You can see here it already detected pretty much. So there you go, everything worked. Close that off. So now we have a statically assigned network. So now we can start configuring all of our servers. So you're going to want to start off with obviously your primary domain controller, and you're going to want to get that set up. You can get your DHCP server running just so you can start segregating the IP addresses and distributing IP addresses to how you want specified. So I'm just going to pause the recording now because now I got to set up my remote desktop for my primary domain controller. Now that I just changed my network, the network changed for that computer too. So give me a second and we'll get right back to it. Alright, so I just went and made the changes on the other server. This is the IP address right there, 10.10.10.12. And I'm just going to hit connect, and I'm going to log in with the administrative credentials for that server. Okay, and just want to verify the ticket, and there we go. So now I'm on my primary domain controller, and we're gonna see here things are gonna pop up. In this video we're just gonna go through it and set up Active Directory, I guess, and DNS and DHCP, just so we can set up our other servers. Okay, so everything's loaded up here. So what we're going to want to do now is first, I have a second hard drive, or I split the partition up on this hard disk. So we're going to want to enable that so we can save our sysvol and our ntds and our log files separate from the C drive. For our purpose, it's not that big of a deal because we're going to be a huge network, but it is a best practice idea, so I'll just show you guys how to do that anyways. So you just want to go to manage here in your computer settings. I guess I could have kept it open. It's server manager, so storage, and I want to go to disk management, and I'm going to close down the right action pane here because it takes up room. Okay, so as you can see here, I got my unallocated space, so I'm just going to right click and make a new simple volume, and I'm going to use up the whole, and I'll save it to my my E drive, might as well. And you need NTFS, sorry, it's needed for the sysvol and the NTDS log and the logs. So if you can't do it if you went like FAT32, you wouldn't be able to install it. You wouldn't be able to put those folders there. Okay, so now that we got our two partitions here, we can go ahead with the installation of Active Directory. So again, what's mentioned in the books is to install the Active Directory Domain Services role before you do your DC promo. Really doesn't make a difference. You can do DC promo in the command line and run it. It looks like it freezes up for a bit, but all it's doing is downloading the Active Directory binaries here that we're about to install. Okay, so I'm just blabbing around here. So yeah, you want to go to your roles in your server manager, and then you can click on add roles here, and then skip this. This is just a default first page. And here's all the services you can install on your servers. So for this server, for our primary domain controller, we're going to have Active Directory, and this is going to install the additional services that it needs to run. So, framework 3.5, so just add required. DNS, you cannot use this you have to have the domain controller set up first. So once that's done, once we run DC promo, I'm just explaining this error, but once we run DC promo, it will install a DNS server by default, actually. So, and we'll do DHCP right after. So I'm just going to hit next, and this is just some more information, things to note about your installation and things to go over here. You can click the links and read over that stuff. And this here is just confirming what you're gonna install. So just hit install, and you're gonna run through this, and when it's done, I'll be back. Actually, while that's installing, I'm gonna talk about the other servers that we're gonna be working with in this series here. So I got them all open in VMware. So you can either get this one, you can pay for this, it's about $150, or you can download VirtualBox or Microsoft's Virtual PC. Whichever one, they'll all work, they'll do the same. So here we got our secondary domain controller. This is going to be used as just a backup for our primary domain controller, so it's just going to have it's going to have the Active Directory and the DNS. It's going to have just like be a DNS server. I'm not going to put DHCP on it, but I will put the DNS and Active Directory on it as well. And I got the 2 hard drives, 2 processors, 1 gig of memory. That's fine. For our file server, I got 3 hard disks, so 100 gigs each. And these are going to be like for departments and like user profiles, so they can have their own little personal storage space. And again, 40 gig hard drive. Backup server, this has I put 2 500 gig hard drives, virtual hard drives, and this is going to be used to back up everything. It's going to be just our backup server where things are just going to get backed up, you know, every night or once a week, whatever we schedule for. I got my SharePoint server on here, 40 gigs. You know, if we need more, we can just add some more hard drives in. It's not a big deal. Same with SQL server. And then we got our test machine here to, you know, test group policies and, you know, user profiles, and we can create another one, maybe like an XP user, just to see. So yeah, that's what we're going to be working with. Alright, so this is all finished now, so we're going to close out of this. You're going to notice your little red X here. That's just going to warn you to run DC promo. So we can click that, or just do the old traditional way by opening up command prompt and just typing dcpromo.exe. And the binaries here that it's checking for is what we just installed. And if we didn't install it, that's where it would hang for about 5-10 minutes. So we can hit next here, or we can click up here and go to advanced mode, but we don't need to do that right yet. So we're just going to go to next, and this is just explaining compatibility issues with, you know, the NT systems. If you need to read over this, go ahead, but we don't have anything in our domain that's that old, so we don't have to really worry about that. And we're going to create a new domain in a new forest down here. So this is our primary domain controller. We're only going to be working with one forest, so I got a video in the Windows Server 2008 features playlist there on my channel that explains, like, you know, what a domain controller is, what a forest is, what a child domain is. So if you're unfamiliar with the terms, just go check out that. I believe it's called Active Directory Concepts and something configuration or something like that. But anyways, moving on. So yeah, we're making a new forest here, so hit next. And my fully qualified domain name is going to be techknowledge.com. You can use whatever you wish here. You know, you can put you know, otherdomain.net or samplecompany.local, whatever you want to do if you're following along and want to practice or want to learn. And this is going to be the root, the top of our forest here. So for instance, if we had child domains, it would be something like you know, childdomain.techknowledge.com. That's what like a child domain would look like. But we're the top dog here, so we're right on top, so it's techknowledge.com. And we're going to hit next, and it's just going to check to see if we have this installed already. And I'll explain who checks that and how that does verify if everything is up to par. That's part of the server roles, the master's operations. and this is our force functional level. So I'm gonna work at the top level here, so the Windows Server 2008. But what this will do here is if I install this, that means we can't have any other domain controllers on our server that have, like we couldn't have a Windows Server 2003. So just watch out about this, you know, plan your design. In my case, we're going to be all Windows Server 2008 R2. So my force functional level is that. If you wanted to, you can go 2003. And then in my domain functional level, we can go 2008. But I'm going 2008 both ways. Just going to examine, and I don't have a DNS server, so I'm going to install one here. Your global catalog, that's default for the first domain controller. So I'll, again, I explained what that is in my other video, so you should check that out. And this is just our DNS telling us we don't have a delegation, and we click yes, it's going to make one. Okay, so here is the sysvol and NTDS folders. So we're going to go and create a folder here on our E drive, and I'm just going to call a folder here, and we'll just call it Active Directory. Doesn't really matter what it's called here. So we're going to browse to that, and I'm going to hit OK. Actually, because I want to have them separated. Okay, there you go. So that's going to be our folders here. And here's a restore mode password. So if we ever have to restore our Active Directory, something gets corrupt, or if we lose something and we have to, restore from a backup, let's say, then we're going to need that password. So we're going to hit next here. And I'm just going to have this reboot on completion. And so it's just going to run through the installation here. And when it's done, we'll get back and we'll set up, or I might even just leave the DHCP for another episode. We're going to, actually I might just end this video right now. What are we at? 20 minutes? Yeah. So when this reboots, I'll end the video and we'll start another video. Alright, so my server restarted, and now I'm just going to reconnect to it through remote desktop. And that reminds me, I got to show you how to enable remote desktop on your server. And what's going on here? Oh yes, okay, so here we have to change it now to technology domain. So you're going to want to type in, you're going to want to actually go to new user account and run domain td dc01, and it's not that anymore. It's called technology. Then you just put the backslash here and you see the domain change. And we go to administrator because they got remote desktop enabled by default. And here again, we just want to verify the certificate and hit yes, and there we go. So now we're logged in, and what we're doing here, like enabling the DHCP server in our next video, so that when we start up all of our other servers, they'll automatically get their proper IP addresses that we have set up already. We should get server manager, that'll pop up. Can't remember if I disabled that or not. Alright, so it looks like I disabled it, so we're just going to go ahead and just verify that those folders are in place. The NTDS and sysvol. Oh yes, okay, server manager is popping up. Just going to close that for now. And we got, as you can see now, we got our two folders here that have all the data in it. So to get to server manager, what just popped up by default, you just click this little icon down here, or you can hit start and right click on my computer and hit properties. Properties doesn't open server manager apparently. It's manage. Sorry. Okay, so now that we see our server here, so we got our 2 roles set up, and they're just showing some caution signs in the event log because they had to go through the restarting and they couldn't config at the starting. So you'll see that. You might even see like a red X sometimes. So you can browse through the roles here and access all of your roles you have on your server. Same with your features. Because I have Active Directory installed, you get group policy management, which is what you will use for all your group policies. Okay, so we got our DNS server. It's working. As you can see here, it created a host record for itself. So 10.10.10.12 is a static assigned. And we got our Active Directory. Okay, there we go. And we got our built-in accounts here and everything. I'll go through Active Directory in the next video. But to get remote desktop open, usually you have this pop up is your default screen. And you can see here remote desktop is enabled. It'll say disabled at the starting. And you can just go to this little panel here and go configure remote desktop. And then down here you want to have this check marked. It's just network level authentication. So you have to have users, or you can select users and add them to this group. But for starters, the administrator has that role. So that's it for this video, and in the next video we're going to set up DHCP and talk a little bit about Active Directory. Alright, thanks for watching.